Before you click away, hear me out. There are moments in life when something appears at exactly the right time. A message, a conversation, a sign, a video. And whether you believe in divine timing, intuition, synchronicity, or simply the mysterious ways life unfolds, the fact that you're here right now may be more meaningful than you realize. Because today's message is about protection. It's about unseen battles. It's about the moments when you felt exhausted, discouraged, confused, or overwhelmed and couldn't quite explain why. And most importantly, it's about remembering that even during your darkest seasons, you may be far more protected than you think. Take a moment, slow down, set aside the noise of the day. Allow yourself to be fully present for the next few minutes, because this message might be exactly what your soul needs to hear. Imagine waking up one morning feeling different, not physically sick, not emotionally devastated, just heavy, as though you're carrying something you can't quite identify. Maybe you've experienced that recently. A strange exhaustion, anxiety without a clear cause, a feeling that something is off, even when everything around you appears normal. Many spiritual traditions teach that not all burdens originate within us. Sometimes we absorb the fears, expectations, negativity, and emotional energy of the world around us. Sometimes we carry things that were never ours to carry. And when that happens, we can begin to feel disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from our purpose, disconnected from our peace. But here's what I want you to remember. Not every difficult season means you're losing. Sometimes it means you're being prepared. Sometimes it means you're being protected. And sometimes the very challenges that seem designed to stop you are actually revealing how strong you've become. One of the most powerful symbols of protection found throughout spiritual traditions is Archangel Michael, known as the guardian, the protector, the defender of truth. Michael represents courage in the face of fear. He represents light entering darkness. He represents the strength that appears when you think you have none left. Whether you view Michael as a literal spiritual being, a divine messenger, or a symbol of inner courage, the lesson remains the same. You are not powerless. You never were. And perhaps that's what someone needed to hear today. Because too many people have spent months, or even years, believing that they're broken, believing they've failed, believing they've somehow lost their way. But what if the truth is different? What if you've been surviving battles that nobody else could see? What if you've been carrying more than anyone realizes? What if the reason you're tired isn't because you're weak, but because you've been strong for so long? Let's talk about something important. Have you ever had an instinct about someone? A feeling that something wasn't right? Nothing obvious, nothing you could prove. Yet something inside you kept whispering, pay attention. Most people ignore those feelings. They talk themselves out of them. They convince themselves they're overthinking. But intuition is a remarkable thing. It often notices what the conscious mind misses: body language, patterns, contradictions, energy, the subtle signals that something deserves a closer look. And when we repeatedly ignore those inner nudges, we often find ourselves wondering later why we didn't trust ourselves sooner. Today's message is simple. Trust yourself. Trust what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Trust the wisdom that lives beneath the noise. Because clarity often arrives long before evidence does. There is another message coming through strongly today. Some of you have been feeling stuck. You've been working hard. You've been trying. You've been showing up. Yet progress feels painfully slow. Opportunities appear and then disappear. Plans get delayed. Doors seem to close just when you thought they were opening. And after enough disappointments, it's easy to start questioning yourself. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe it's never going to happen. But what if those delays weren't punishment? What if they were preparation? Think about every significant chapter in your life. How often did things happen exactly when you wanted them to? Probably not often. Yet looking back, many of those delays protected you from situations you weren't meant to enter. Many of those closed doors redirected you towards something better. Many of those disappointments eventually revealed themselves as blessings in disguise. Sometimes protection doesn't look like success. Sometimes protection looks like a delay. Sometimes protection looks like a detour. Sometimes protection looks like a door remaining firmly closed until the right one opens. And this brings us back to Archangel Michael. One of the most beautiful lessons associated with Michael is the image of a sword, not a sword of destruction, a sword of truth, a sword that cuts through fear, a sword that cuts through confusion, a sword that separates what belongs in your life from what doesn't. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine every fear you've been carrying, every doubt, every old story, every belief that says you're not enough. Now imagine those cords being cut. Imagine freedom replacing fear. Imagine clarity replacing confusion. Imagine peace replacing chaos. Because that transformation begins the moment you decide to stop giving power to everything that drains you. Many people spend years trying to change their circumstances. Few spend time changing their relationship with themselves. But that relationship changes everything. The way you speak to yourself, the way you treat yourself, the standards you set, the boundaries you honor, the people you allow into your life, the energy you tolerate. All of these things shape your reality. And if there is one message I believe Michael would want you to hear today, it is this: protect your peace. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your time. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Protection isn't about building walls. It's about building wisdom. It's about learning the difference between compassion and self-sacrifice. It's about understanding that loving others should never require abandoning yourself. Now, I want you to think about the past year, everything you've survived, everything you've overcome, every challenge that tried to convince you to quit, and yet you're still here. You're still standing. You're still moving forward. That matters. Because resilience is often invisible while it's happening. We celebrate victories, we celebrate milestones, we celebrate success, but we rarely celebrate endurance. We rarely celebrate the simple act of continuing. Yet sometimes continuing is the greatest victory of all. Sometimes getting back up one more time is the miracle. Sometimes choosing hope again is the breakthrough. And if nobody has told you recently, give yourself credit for that. You've made it through things that once felt impossible. As we come toward the end of this message, I want you to remember something. You do not need to fear every challenge. You do not need to believe that every setback is an attack. You do not need to search for darkness behind every disappointment. Instead, focus on what strengthens you. Focus on what heals you. Focus on what brings you closer to your highest self. Because light grows where attention goes. And every day you choose courage over fear, truth over illusion, and hope over despair, you strengthen that light. You become harder to shake, harder to discourage, harder to stop. So tonight, before you go to sleep, take a moment for yourself. Whether you pray, meditate, journal, or simply sit in silence, take a breath. Place your hand over your heart and say, I release what is not mine to carry. I welcome peace. I welcome clarity. I welcome protection. I trust that what is meant for me will find me, and what is not meant for me will pass me by. Simple, powerful, enough. And if this message found you at the right moment, if something here resonated with your spirit, if you felt seen, understood, or encouraged, then perhaps that wasn't an accident after all. Maybe this was the reminder you needed. The reminder that you are stronger than you think, more protected than you realize, and more capable than you've allowed yourself to believe. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message spoke to you, leave a comment below and share the word that describes how you're feeling right now. And remember, no matter what challenges stand in front of you, never forget who you are. Never forget your light. And never forget that even in your darkest moments, hope is still waiting for you just beyond the horizon.